Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Vivian from ThePaperLetterBlog. I also like to call myself the Chatty Pen Pal channel, and today I have a really fun Happy Meal project for you. So, you may realize that I skipped a step here because I already made the base of this flipbook, which is based on this flipbook that I'm showing you here. This is the flipbook that I got my inspiration from, and I decided to make something similar for my own Happy Meal project. And then I liked it so much I thought, shoot, I should have made this into a video. So I decided, even though I didn't film the beginning of the process, to still turn this into a video. So let me talk you through everything I did at the beginning. I made a front cover and a back cover, and I made 3 pockets as pages in between. They are slightly smaller than the front and the back pocket, than the front and the back page, and they open on the side. And then I used that die that you see on the right to make these scalloped edges, same as the flipbook I showed you before. And another idea I got from that flipbook on the top is to use twine, or in my case knitting yarn, to bind the flipbook together. So what I did is I punched holes on the left, 2 holes, and I used knitting yarn, pink knitting yarn, to bind the pages together. Really love this idea. It's super flexible because you can make it as fat as you want and it's still easy. You can use as much yarn as you need. Good story, Vivian. I'm gonna level with you here. It's time for an honesty truth talk. This is my 3rd time doing this voiceover. You know what they say, 3rd time is the charm. And the reason for doing this three times is because the first time, it's happening now as well, I kept tripping over words and I didn't know what to say. And the second time, not so much tripping, and I did know kind of what to say because I already practiced it once. But then I sounded super anxious. And I felt super anxious. Even though I've been doing voiceovers for super long, I don't know why, but I could feel, and I could, when I would listen to the first part of the voiceover, I would get stressed by listening to my own voice because I could hear that my breathing was quite high. You know, when you're calm, you breathe through your belly, as they say, and when you're anxious, you breathe through your chest, like your breathing stops at the chest, and I could feel that I was breathing shallow breathing, and I did not want to do that to any of you, so I made myself a cup of tea. Today we have a white blossom tea, and I'm going to try again. 3rd time's the charm. Okay, I will tell you more about that and more about my anxiety lately in a second, because I have some stories for you and I've been wanting to talk about that for a while, but I haven't. But first, let me tell you what we are doing. Of course, I made a flipbook, and many of the goodies are from one brand. They're from Pink Paisley / Paige Evans, who's a creator. And the papers I used are from either Whimsical, which is a collection, or Horizon, which is another collection. And then there's a little box that you keep seeing in between. It's like a clear box because it's from grapes. I recycled a grape box and I put all of the Paige Evans Pink Paisley goodies I have in there. So that's a combination of everything, and I just pick from that randomly. And then of course some other things that I throw in there occasionally, such as it made a quick appearance just now, a little shaker that I made. I also made that before. I didn't even know if I was going to use it in this project, but I made a shaker from a little card that was in the books, so I thought it would go nicely. So there's that, and then yes, I have way too many goodies. I have sticker books. There's this saying, I've mentioned this many times before because it's like my #1 excuse, but there's a saying that's like, paper crafting is a hobby, but collecting stationery and collecting paper goodies is a separate hobby. And that's kind of what I am. I am like a collector. I love these sticker books. I love the die cuts. I love the papers. It makes me so happy that I can kind of justify buying this many goodies. So no one shame me, okay? This is a separate hobby and I feel completely entitled to spending like half of my tip money on craft supplies. So another thing I'm doing now is I'm using Nuvo Drops, because this was probably like the end of the craft session for me. I would never use Nuvo Drops at the beginning of a craft session because I need to dry for like 12 hours or something. So this means that it's the end of the day and I'm using them to decorate the front and kind of embellish. Another thing you saw me do quite a couple minutes ago was I colored the sides of this flipbook with, what is it called? Distress Oxides. So this is the next day. I don't know why that is not on camera, but I made a whole bunch of Floral Die Cuts. I have a beautiful flower dies, and I basically die cut a pack of goodies for my pen pal, and then I'm adding in a couple more goodies such as little tickets that I die cut and all sorts of things, little stamps, and just a little collection of handmade goodies. A sip of tea. If you're watching and listening to this, this is a reminder to drink your tea before it gets cold, okay? I need those reminders. I'm assuming you do too. Sip that tea. Anywho, what I was going to tell you while I'm decorating this is about my anxiety, because when I started this channel, I would often talk about anxiety and therapy and personal growth and stuff like that, and I still do that occasionally, but not as often anymore. And there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, I'm not in, like, when I started this channel, I was like in full-time group therapy, 2 days a week group therapy, so I had a lot of stories and anxiety wisdoms to share with you, and now I go to therapy once every 2 weeks, so that's a whole lot less therapy inspiration I can share. And the second thing is, I wouldn't say that I've grown over it, because I still enjoy sharing it, but sometimes I don't really know what to say, and I also don't know if I'm like the best example, because I get super self-conscious. Okay, I struggle a lot still with my anxiety, even though I've been through so much therapy and I've been through a lot of growth already. That's the dishwasher. Can you shush? It's done. Yay, dishwashing done. Stop beeping. Is it gonna beep again? Yeah, of course it is. Is that it? 3 beeps? Is that? Are you done? Anywho, sorry, 4 beeps. Really? Anywho, 5 beeps. Okay, this is getting too much. Okay, it's done beeping. Finally. What I'm doing here is I have washi tape stickers. These were some of the first washi tape stickers I had, because I filmed this back in April. Back then it was like a cute small collection that fit in a box, and now it's out of control. But I put washi tape stickers, and then I'm putting a label on some foam tape so that there's some space behind it, and then I'm putting the stickers behind the label, so it's like a mini pocket. A little, how would you call that? Tuck spot, I guess. And I already know what people are going to say when listening to me talk about needing more therapy. I know people are going to say, Vivian, it's okay. You need to take that time. I mean, you need time to heal. You've been through a lot, anxiety-wise. There was a time where I was afraid to leave the house at all. And now I'm working again and I'm doing all that, and it's okay to need therapy. But lately, there's this voice inside my head that is being mean to me about needing more therapy, and I can tell that voice to shut up, but it won't listen. And I need to clarify that I don't actually have voices inside my head, but the voices I'm talking about are basically your brain, like the things your brain tells you. Like, you have a child voice that will say, I need attention, or I'm sad, I'm happy. That's the child voice. And you'll have like a parent voice that will tell you to brush your teeth, go to bed early, and eat your vegetables. And many of these are helpful, because the child voice telling you to cry when you're sad, that's helpful. And your parent voice telling you to go to bed on time and eat your veggies, that's helpful too, because it makes you a well-functioning adult. But there's also voices, there's also messages that your brain is giving you that are not helpful. And one of those messages is from like the the punishing adult. I'm just like literally translating. I'm sure there's like an official name for these, but like punishing adult or stern adult, and that's the voice that's constantly telling you, come on, you need to do better, you need to be better, you need to you need to achieve things, and everyone can do it, so can you, and blah blah blah. That's the voice that's not helping, because yeah, in a way it will help you to achieve things, but it's the one that causes anxiety, I can tell you. And of course anxiety is different for everyone, but for me that's the anxiety inducer, because it's constantly telling me I am not good enough, and that is not helpful, because I've been in therapy for quite a while trying to learn that I am actually good enough. So this voice needs to go. I hope this makes sense to all of you, but basically I've been in a fight with the stern parent voice telling me that I need to do better and be better, because, well, ever since the lockdown ended here in the Netherlands, like restaurants opened again, I've been working for 4 days to compensate not working for 2.5 months. So I worked 4 days, and I told myself that I needed to work 4 days because that's like nearly full time, and I'm a fully functioning adult, so I need to work full time. So I told myself that that was what I had to do. But I could tell, and I started noticing really, really fast that 4 days is too much for me. Like I would work, let's say, 34 hours a week, and I was exhausted. All of the videos you've been watching lately, the crafting videos, they were all from the lockdown period, because when I got back to work I was exhausted and I couldn't craft. I didn't film, I didn't do anything, because there was literally no energy left. But I kept telling myself like, yeah, you know, this is normal, people do this all the time, so should you. But I soon realized that it was too much for me, in short, and that doesn't mean that I will never be able to work full time, but in all honesty, like, I'm still getting back on my feet after therapy, and I need to learn that as well. So to expect myself to be running already while I should first like feel comfortable walking, that's a step. So that's the first thing. I was working too much, but it took me months again to accept that, and like, okay, I'm working too much, I'm exhausted, I'm walking on my last legs, if that's the correct way to say it. But it took me a while to accept that I needed to take a step back, because to me taking a step back feels like failure, and that is not in relation to others. Like if a friend of mine takes a step back, I encourage them, I tell them, good job, think about yourself first, it's your health, it's your life, like who cares if you work a little bit less, if that makes you feel better. I would tell my friends that, but telling myself is a whole other story. Like to me it would feel like I would not be living up to a certain standard. So that is why I couldn't get myself almost to ask and to say, hey, maybe I need to work a little bit less. And there was also part of me that thought, okay, maybe if I just like, if I wait and if I continue this way, then I'll get used to it. But I didn't get used to it. Short story. I mean, long story short, not short story, because it's quite a long story. I didn't get used to it, and the walking on my last legs feeling got worse and worse, as you can probably imagine. So in the end, I now have like a set hours contract. So I work, or I get paid a certain amount of hours. If I work more, I will save hours for the next week. If I work less, they'll take hours that I have saved. So I actually asked for a lot less hours than I worked these days. So I asked to work 3 days instead of 4. Cannot tell you how big of a step that was. Part of me felt like I cannot do what fully functioning adults do, but the better part of me and the bigger part of me thought, Vivian, you're finally doing what you need to do. and it makes me almost emotional talking about that. It makes me emotional in all honesty, because doing what I need instead of doing what I think I have to do, or instead of doing what I think people expect of me, I honestly cannot remember ever doing that and feeling good about it. But now I'm doing it. I am choosing me for me. I am choosing to ignore that strict, stern voice that is saying that I need to do better, and I'm going to work 3 days. And as I was telling you before, I still have that constant fight in me, the part of me that is growing and that has been through therapy and that has realized that I'm only on this earth for me, and that there's nothing I need to prove to anyone except myself. And there's that voice that is saying 3 days is good, and then of course, as I said, there's the stern voice saying you're a failure, you need to work 4 days. But I am giving that voice less power, even though that has cost me a lot of energy lately, because as I said, I've been going through 2 therapy every other Friday. I haven't been going long, but we're doing an exercise that helps me. Basically, it sounds really stupid, but basically there's 4 chairs. She puts 4 chairs, and then every chair represents a certain voice. So there's of course the child voice, and there's the stern voice, and there's the healthy voice, I guess, and there's another voice. I forgot what the fourth one is. But basically she asks me to move chairs and then say, okay, this situation, what does this voice have to say about it? That situation, what does that voice have to say about it? And it helps me so much. The card I wrote is activities for staying at home, because I made this in the middle of lockdown. But it helps me because I'm like, it's making me realize that the thoughts I'm having are not from a relative voice. Like the thoughts I'm having are not from a voice I should be listening to. Because can you imagine there's an adult shouting at you, you need to do better? Would you listen to that? Probably not. So why am I listening to the shouting adult inside my head? I don't know. So it's helping me see that there's multiple ways to look at this. And ever since last Friday's therapy session, I've grown so much, because last Thursday, I wasn't ready to ask for 3 days. And last Friday I had my therapy session, and bam, she made me realize that it was a healthy and totally normal thing to do. So last Friday I asked, and then the upcoming 2 rosters, I have 3 days instead of 4, and I cannot begin to tell you how happy that makes me, how much breathing room it gives me. And of course I'll still be tired, and I still have 3 full long days of work that will make me anxious and stuff like that, but at least it won't be 4, and at least I can tell myself that I've given myself space. Oh, and I want to clarify 2 things. First of all, the stern parent voice, that's just a name. It's not like I actually have very stern parents, because sometimes I'll share clips of my parents on Instagram, or I'll share stories about them, and you may or may not know, but I have the best parents in the world. They're really, really sweet, and they would never, ever tell me to do something that doesn't make me happy. Ever since I started having anxiety, they've been telling me, Vivian, give up school, just pursue happiness. Don't pursue a diploma, pursue happiness. So the stern parent voice, that's just like a therapy name. It's not like I have actual parents that are very stern. And the second thing is, my workplace is also really, really, like the people that work there are very understanding, and if I were to bring this up and talk about it, I am like 1,000% sure they understand. It's just for me, like I needed to be ready almost for that step. Like I needed to believe in it first before I could ask for it. And even so, that's a mini therapy update or a mini anxiety update. Long story short, I still have anxiety, and that will probably never ever go away. That's like the full reason why I went back into therapy, because I felt like I needed more guidance to live my everyday life without having anxiety hold me back too much. And that is helping me, obviously. But I'm like accepting that anxiety will probably forever be part of me. But nowadays, I feel like my anxiety has sort of evolved already. Like before, I would have anxiety mainly from outside factors and stress and crowded places, and now I'm already moving on to the internal factors. I don't know if that makes sense, but it feels like growth partially. Hey news. Sneak peek of news. Yeah, so long story short, anxiety is still here, but the fact that I'm realizing what is causing it is a big step for me. So I hope that makes sense. I also hope that you enjoyed listening to my therapy and anxiety talk again, because I feel like I haven't really been doing that for quite a while, and in the beginning of this channel that was literally half of what I would talk about. And I know, like, you may not realize this, and also if you don't have anxiety or if you don't have anything similar to that, then you might be thinking, lady, shut up. But I know, and I've received many letters, that people are helped by listening to someone talk about something similar to what they have. I had that as well. When I was in group therapy, I realized that I was not alone. So even when you're not interested in my stories, please know that this can help someone else. And I really hope that I was able to do that again today, because anxiety is shitty, and I've had some shitty years with anxiety, but if I can use those experiences to make someone else feel a little bit less alone, then I'm happy, I guess. So, third time really was the charm. I think I'm just gonna leave this voiceover, even though it's rambling, even though it's about personal things that I sometimes find difficult to share. I think it will be good. Long story short, I will go back to talking about the mail to finish off this video. What you're seeing is something that I made during this video. It's a recycled sticker packaging. Really liked the little card that the sticker packaging had, so I decorated the back of that, and I used the front to display 2 teacup embellishments, 1 embellishment and 1 shaker. And then I'm also stuffing more teacup die cuts into that baggie so that she can make her own as well. And I decorated that. And then, like, the perfect part of this is that because I recycled a sticker pack, the card fits perfectly. Oh, by the way, I completely forgot to say this, but this video I made as part of my Patreon challenge back in, I don't know, April or May, because the Patreon Craft Club challenge back then was to use thread or twine or something similar, and that is why I made this video, and then I never ended up uploading it. So patrons, I'm sorry. This was my entry. This was my second entry from back then. And the current month is to recycle or upcycle, so that would of course be the sticker packaging. So that is this project. A nice little collage, little set of stickers, and then of course every pocket is filled with some goodies, which makes me very happy. So the first pocket has those flower die cuts and other die cuts that I showed. The second one has that teacup embellishment set that I just showed you. The third one has the letter and some stickers and some cutouts from the pink paisley something, and some little doilies that I received from B. And then of course there's also the shaker that she can take out, because I stuck that on there with washi tape. And then the last thing I did on the last page is washi tape sample, and I used that tag to create a pocket, so I didn't stick it all the way down, so that you can tuck some Project Live cards behind that. And I personally really like the way that looks. So the only thing left to do was to kind of adjust the binding, so the thread, because it was a little bit too tight. So I'm just using a pencil to kind of, not a pencil, but a brush to loosen that up a little bit. And then that's it. I sent it like that. sent it in a padded envelope if I remember correctly, but I think this could very well pass as regular postal mail because it's literally only paper and nothing else. I mean, there's thread and there's plastic, but they don't know that when they receive the parcel in the post. Trying to trick the system here, okay? If I have to send this as a parcel, it gets twice as expensive. So that is today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Follow my channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram and leave a comment down below if you want to comment anything down below. I will talk to you again soon. A big thank you to my patrons as well. And have a lovely day. Okay, bye-bye.